All right, so second lesson this week, we're looking at changing tires. All right, specifically, not necessarily how do I change a tire. That's good to know, and you never know when you're going to be in a situation where you got to do that. But what we're saying is if you change the actual tire from a smaller size to a larger size tire, how does that affect speedometer? How does that affect your gas mileage? How does that affect really a lot of your traveling after you make that change? That's what we're referring to. So we start with a little bit of a warm-up from geometry. So it's showing you some examples where you have circumference, and we see that circumference equals 2 pi r, and diameter is going to be double your radius. So if you are saying something has a radius of 14 and it asks for the circumference, you can simply put that in to the calculator and it would give you 28 pi. So with 28 pi, that's going to give us 87.96 inches approximately. Circumference is all the way around, so we're talking about a tire that's going to give us all the way around. Diameter, same general concept, just using circumference equals 29 pi. So you just put the 29 in place of the d. So the circumference there is 91.11 inches. So it's a larger circumference. All right, so all right, so if we've taken this Jeep Wrangler, factory installed, you got your P245/70 R16s, and you think, man, these are just not the ones that I want. I need to get some much larger tires. How does this change in tire affect the speedometer, the odometer? And that's what we're looking to do. So we're looking to see if we have an odometer reading of 20,020 miles. How far have we actually traveled? If your speedometer reading is 60 miles an hour, what's your actual speed? So we'll come back and we'll be able to answer those questions as we work through with our new tire. It is important to know and to look at the image down below to see that we have the P, which is just the passenger tire. The 245 is going to tell the width of the tire, talking about like the actual tire itself, not necessarily the rim. So the tire, and that's in millimeters, which we don't always use millimeters a lot when just in everyday life in the United States, but it's in millimeters. And then 70, that's going to be a ratio, which we'll convert that to a percent. It's just a ratio of the tire's height to its width, and it'll be reported as a percent. And then 16, that's the diameter of the actual rim. So we're going to have to combine these, and as you see in the image to the right, it's got the tire height and then the rim height, and that's going to give us our total diameter. So if you need to pause and look at that for a second, that is important information because that's how we're going to find everything. All right, so looking at our chart, we see that originally we had the width in millimeters as a 245 millimeter tire. The aspect ratio is the number here, so 70, and it's expressed as a percentage. The height in inches. All right, so the height in inches, when we're looking at the height in inches, we're going to set up a ratio. So when we're setting up our ratio, we see that we have height over width, which that was 245, equals our percentage. And you could say percentage over 1 to make it easier. So what that gives us is we cross multiply, so H equals 245 times 0.70 is 171.5 millimeters. All right, so that is our height, but it's kind of like, well, what is that really? Now, and when I say that, just simply because we often use inches is what we're going to talk about our feet. So when we are looking to change that, we would look at the conversion. So 1 inch equals 25.44 millimeters. So if we have 171.5, then what that means we need to do is 171.5 divided by the 25.4. We divide that and it gives us 6.75 inches. All right, so that is the height of the tire. All right, and then when it comes to diameter, that one's the easy one because they tell you right here at the end, the rim is 16 inches. So we would come right here, and the diameter of the rim is 16 inches. So the diameter is 16 inches. All right, the diameter of the tire. So this was the diameter of the rim. We don't have to solve for that, they tell us that, but the diameter of the tire, we would need to take the 6.25, or excuse me, 6.75, and multiply that by 2, because if you're looking at the image above, we've got the rim, which is 16, the tire, which is 6.75, the other part of the tire, which is 6.75, and in this case, that's going to give us a total, when we have 16 plus 2 times 6.25 of 29.5 inches. All right, so that's the collective view when you're looking at the tire from the side. All right, we said circumference equals 2 pi r, or you could say circumference equals pi times the diameter. We just decided that the diameter would be pi times 29.5. So all the way around that tire, the circumference of it is 92.68 inches. All right, so that is all the information for one. So let's put that all together for our new tires. All right, so our new tires, the width, we've got 318 millimeters. And then when it comes to our percentage, this one is a 80%. So 80, got our width here. We'll use the rim in just a minute. All right, and then we'll set up our ratio when it comes to our height. So let's scroll down just a bit here. So we've got our height over our new width of 318 equals our new percentage of 0.8, and you can do over 1, cross multiply. So H equals 318 times 0.80, which is 254.4 millimeters. We said we want to convert that, so 254.4 divided by 25.4, and that gives us 10.02 inches. All right, so those tires are much bigger than the 6.75. So when we are putting this all together for our diameter, we again have to look at the information at hand, and so the diameter of the rim, you don't have to solve for, that's just given to you, and it's 15 in this case. All right, so the rim is a little bit smaller with these tires, and then the diameter of the tire itself, we said is 10.2, so we're going to take that diameter of the tire and do 10.02 times 2, and then we put that all together, and our total diameter, much like this, so we said like you got the tire, the rim, the tire, you put that all together and our diameter is 35.04. All right, and then our last step to complete the comparison, we know circumference equals pi times diameter, so circumference equals 35.04 times pi. So the circumference of this tire all the way around is 110.08 inches. All right, so now that we know that information, we can answer the remaining questions. So after one rotation of the wheel, how many inches further has the truck with the larger tires traveled than the truck with the factory installed tires? So the larger tires all the way around would be 110.08 inches is how far one rotation would travel. And the smaller tire would be 92.68. And when we subtract those to see how much farther, you can see that the new tires would travel 17.4 inches further with each rotation. All right, so now that we know that information, we are asked, after one rotation of the wheel, the truck with the larger tire has traveled blank times farther. This is where at the very beginning we mentioned scale factor. That's going to be beneficial here. So we're going to take the scale factor, or basically the circumference of the larger tire. So the circumference of, we'll just do larger over the circumference of the factory installed, or the smaller tire. And so from there you get 110.08 and divide that by 92.08. 0.68. When we divide that, it gives us 1.19. So it has, the truck with the larger tire travels 1.19 times further than the one with the smaller one. All right, then it's very interesting to note that with this larger tire, so say the odometer is reading at 20,020 miles. We're trying to say, well, how far have we actually traveled? And if the speedometer is reading at 60 miles an hour, and this is one you got to really be careful with if you get larger tires than the factory installed ones, you have to figure out, am I really going 60 miles an hour, or because of my new tires and it's going farther faster in terms of it's covering a greater distance with each rotation, because the odometer reading is, you know, based off the rotation of your tires. So what should this be? So let's look right here. So we knew our scale factor from up above, so I'm just going to write this here. So our scale factor we already established was 1.19. So when we are saying K, that's talking about, in this case, our scale factor. So we're saying let's go actual mileage. All right, so we're saying 1.19 times the odometer reading, which in this case was showing 20,020 miles, but we have to multiply it by our new tire. So what it would actually be is 23,823.8. Whoops, sorry, I forgot the 2 there. 823.8. And that is our new odometer reading, or what it should be showing. And then this is the one that, you know, you really got to be careful with the actual speed here. You use your 1.19 scale factor, so that hasn't changed, and then multiply by how fast you think you're going, meaning your speedometer is showing 60, but what you are really going is 1.19 times 60, which is 71.4 miles per hour. So obviously, hopefully none of you get pulled over, but if you are thinking you're going 60 and you're actually going 71.4, you're going 11 and a half miles over the speed limit, and there's a chance you get pulled over there. So be careful there. All right, and then the last part here, we're looking at what is the percent error in the odometer reading, and using the information, you're going to say, okay, well, what's my miles per gallon? So what is the percent error? Well, what we got to do there is we take the new reading, which would we say here, 23,000. All right, so our new reading, 23,823.8 minus. All right, so you take your new reading minus your original, and our original was 20,020. And then you divide that by the original. So again, 20,020. All right. So that percentage there, it's going to show up as 0.19, which is equal to 19%, is going to be the percentage error. Speedometer is the same thing, new minus original over the original. So 71.4 was our new. The original was 60. We divide that by 60, and that would also tell us 19%. All right, so using the odometer reading in the truck equipped with the larger tires, you determine that the gas mileage is 18 miles per gallon. What is your actual gas mileage? And this is basically saying your actual gas mileage in regard to what it would be showing, because bigger tires does not mean that you're going to have improved gas mileage. So don't get this part confused about what it's saying. So it's saying 18 miles per gallon by our 1.19 scale factor. That's 21.42 miles per gallon. All right, and then last but not least, we have if you were driving in this truck with the larger tires and the speedometer showed 65 miles an hour. So if you're out on 400, could you be ticketed for exceeding by 5 miles over, 10 miles over? So if we're at 65 and we do 1.19, same scale factor, that's 77.35 miles per hour. And you might say, you know, officer, it's showing 65. I'm not really sure exactly why you got me at 77. And that would be the answer. All right, guys, enjoy the lesson.